Welcome back to another episode of Avid Fantasy Football. Cameron here. We got the wide receiver start-sit video about to start here in just a second. But before we do that, go ahead and subscribe. It goes a long way with us here. Trying to get to a certain amount of subscribers here. We're very close to that goal right now. But definitely go ahead and smash that subscribe button. It definitely goes a long way, like I said. But why don't we go ahead and kick it off here. We got the Week 14 wide receiver start-sit video. Let's go ahead and start it off with our Thursday night game. We got the Patriots and the Steelers. And kicking us off in this one, we have Demario Douglas, who's going to be questionable in this game with a concussion. If he does end up playing like I expect him to, he is going to be a cautionary start. Obviously, that's going to be a major factor here, depending on either Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones, and neither one of them are really great quarterbacks at the moment, so it's going to be hard for Demario Douglas, but he's definitely going to get the targets here, as he's got Juju Smith-Schuster and Devontae Parker as sits. These guys have not been consistent when it comes to targets, and they haven't been really a main focal point in the offense, just like, Kendrick Bourne was. Now Demario Douglas is. So definitely you want to have him as a cautionary start. If you do end up playing him, he would be no more than a flex play for me this week. Steelers side of the ball, similar situation with their quarterback situation. Looks like Kenny Pickett's going to be out a little bit here, and now you got Mitch Trubisky, who is a veteran, but has not really been a good veteran in general. So Deontay Johnson and George Pickens are going to be cautionary starts for that reason. Allen Robinson will be a sit. Again, Deontay Johnson is more of a low end, is going to be a low end 2 for me, wide receiver 2, and then George Pickens is more of a flex play for me this week. And now we go on to our 1 o'clock games on Sunday, and we got the Texans and Jets kicking us off here. Nico Collins is going to be a start for me. He definitely pulled in a massive game last week with Tank Dell going out, unfortunately, for the rest of the year. So Nico Collins should have a good opportunity here. It is up against the tough Jets defense in the secondary, but Nico Collins is good enough to be able to be a start in this matchup. Now, Noah Brown will be a cautionary start. He's still questionable coming off of that injury, so he will be a cautionary start. Start him at your own risk. And Robert Woods will be a sit. Jets side of the ball, Garrett Wilson will be a cautionary start. There's rumors that it will be Zach Wilson, but we don't know if that's going to be a for sure thing quite yet. And make sure you look out for the quarterback starts at video later in the week, or a little bit later today. You're going to see that in a couple hours, so make sure you tune in for that. Again, big factor here is making sure you subscribe and and then have that notification settings on for all videos. But Garrett Wilson, like I said, is going to be a cautionary start here. Just all depends on who his quarterback is. Obviously, him and Zach Wilson are going to be a little bit better than Tim Boyle and him, so a little bit more consistent, but up against the Texans, it's going to be tough. Allen Lazard and Xavier Gibson are going to be a sit for me in this matchup. Now you have the LA Rams and the Baltimore Ravens, and Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are going to be cautionary starts for me in this one. Tough defense for the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is third against wide receivers here. And Puka Nacua is dealing with that AC joint sprain, so that's going to be a big factor there as well. But both these guys could put up points. I'm not shying too far away for them. Just temper your expectations with Cooper Kupp, and then Puka Nacua. With that injury, it's definitely going to be a cautionary start. You play him at your own risk. But I still think he can put up points if he does play a decent amount. Tutu Atwell will be a sit for me in this matchup as well. And then we go on to the Baltimore side of the ball. Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham Jr. are going to be cautionary starts. Both these guys really can't coexist for the most part, it seems. It's one or the other. Last time it was Zay Flowers right before the bye week. Hopefully that rookie has finally shaken that little bit of disappearance for a little bit. But we'll see what ends up happening there. But Odell Beckham and him are going to be cautionary starts, and Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar are going to be sits. And now we move on to the Carolina-New Orleans game here. You got Adam Thielen and Jonathan Mingo as cautionary starts for me. Adam Thielen's kind of been a little hit and miss the last couple weeks here. Not the best amount of points opportunity here for him, especially against the Saints. But tough matchups. But somebody who has been getting a little bit more targets and has scored 10 and 12 points. Again, somebody I'd put as a flex if you absolutely need somebody due to injury. That would be Jonathan Mingo. Mingo has been more consistent with Bryce Young as of late rather than Adam Thielen. So both those guys are cautionary starts. Thielen's still too good of a receiver to just full on sit, so he's going to be somebody I'm going to be looking at this week as a flex play as well. And then DJ Chark's going to be a sit. Saints side of the ball, though, you got Chris Olave. He'll be a start for me in this matchup, whether it's Jameis Winston or Derek Carr, who is currently dealing with an injury. Again, make sure you look out for that quarterback starts at video later in the week, or a little bit later today, I should say. Chris Olave is definitely going to get those targets, especially over guys like Rashid Shaheed and A.T. Perry, and Shaheed's actually questionable, and both those guys are going to be sits for me in this matchup. Now we move on to the Indianapolis Colts and the Cincinnati Bengals, and Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be a start for me in this one. This dude has been very consistent the last couple weeks here, and he's definitely grown that connection with Gardner Minshew, who originally was Josh Downs and Gardner Minshew, and now Josh Downs is going to be a cautionary start, so Michael Pittman will be a start for me in this one. Josh Downs is a cautionary start, and Alec Pierce is going to be a sit. Josh Downs is still going to get those targets that have the volume. It's just a matter of can he convert on the yards and the touchdown or red zone targets there. Bengals side of the ball, Jamar Chase is going to be a start after ripping off a 76-yarder from none other than Jake Browning in Jacksonville. Now, temper your expectations with T. Higgins and Trenton Irwin. Yes, I do have Trenton Irwin as a cautionary start and Tyler Boyd as a sit in this one just because Trenton Irwin has been more of that targeted feature than what Tyler Boyd has been in the last couple of years. They really like Trenton Irwin a lot in this wide receiver room. So temper your expectations a little bit there for the Colts defense here when they go up against T. Higgins and Trenton Irwin. These receivers are not going to be putting up massive amount of points. At least I don't believe they will in this matchup. They do have a decent defense here as they are 13th against wide receivers this year. Now we have Tampa Bay and the Atlanta Falcons here, and this matchup is going to be a little bit of a rougher one for the most part. Mike Evans will be a start. I mean, the dude is just unbelievable. Again, every single year it seems like he's going to hit that 1,000-yard mark consistently, and he's doing it again this year. And then Chris Godwin's going to be a cautionary start for me. Mike Evans has been taking majority of the targets, and then Kate Otton's been showing up a little bit more, and so has Rashad White in the running back role with the receiving game. So make sure Chris Godwin is a cautionary start. He's a low-end wide receiver 2 flex play for me this week. And then Trey Palmer is going to be a sit. Drake London will be a cautionary start for me for the Falcons. And Van Jefferson and Mac Hollins will be sit on this game. But Drake London is obviously going to be Desmond Ridder's favorite target. He's going to continue to get targets. It's just, again, in a game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 27th against wide receivers, I do like Drake London. It's just we don't know which Desmond Ridder is going to show up. And that's going to be the biggest factor. It is a home game, but I feel a little bit more comfortable starting Drake London here as a wide receiver 2 flex play at the moment. And now we got Jacksonville at the Browns, and oh boy, Monday night was not kind to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They lose Christian Kirk now for a couple weeks, it seems like, and haven't officially ruled him out yet, but it looks like we might be missing Trevor Lawrence for a little bit. He did come back clean with no injury there other than a high ankle sprain, so no structural damage or tendon damage, which is great for Trevor Lawrence, so he might just miss a little bit less time than expected. Still has a shot to play in this game against Cleveland. I honestly don't see it happening, but hey. Nevertheless, Calvin Ridley is going to be a cautionary start for me, and actually, Zay Jones and Parker Washington are all going to be cautionary starts for me in this game. This is a new territory for me here with this one. Parker Washington came in and immediately put up points. I mean, 6 targets. He had a touchdown in this game. Kind of crazy to see a guy just come in and do that right away. But the Bengals were 18th, are 18th, excuse me. They are 18th against the pass, so it doesn't, not the best against the pass. So definitely a reason why Parker Washington was able to contribute there. Just unbelievable he was able to do it in such a big fashion right away. But Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, and Parker Washington are all going to be cautionary starts. Whether, Trevor Lawrence plays or not, we got to see who the new number 1 is. But all these guys still have the explosiveness to make plays. And then Brown side, Amari Cooper's in concussion protocol and a rib injury. He's cautionary start for me this week just because of the questionable mark, and now they're talking about switching quarterbacks again. We'll have to see what happens there, monitor situation, but Elijah Moore will be a cautionary start for me. I would elevate him to a start if Amari Cooper is out. Elijah Moore came in immediately and got majority of his targets right out the gate. I mean, he had 3 or 4 targets within the first, 10 plays, it seemed like, right there for Elijah Moore, so definitely look at it there. And then Cedric Tillman's going to be a sit for me in this matchup. Now we got the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears, and Amon-Ra St. Brown will be a start, and Jameson Williams will be a cautionary start. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're obviously going to start in this matchup regardless. He did really well against the Bears at the end there. Jameson Williams has been more consistent, 7-9 points last 2 weeks before the bye week, and you'd like to see that with the targets going up for sure with Jameson Williams, and against the Bears, he does have a good opportunity as the Bears are 16th against the pass. And points given up to wide receivers, so definitely look for him there. And then Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond are going to be sits. DJ Moore will be the only start for me for the Bears on this side of this game, so definitely look for that there. And now we move on to Seattle and the 49ers. And Seattle, I got DK Metcalf as a start after an explosive game against the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. Jackson Smith and Jigba and Tyler Lockett are both going to be cautionary starts. DK Metcalf seems to be the one who's going to get majority of the targets, and then the other 2 are just going to split whatever's left. But Jackson Smith and Jigba did do more with what he had in targets over Tyler Lockett. And then on the 49ers side of the ball, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel will be starts for me in this matchup. And then Jawan Jennings will be a sit. Deebo with an explosive game, and Brandon Ayuk had a decent game himself. Last time these two teams played was on Thursday night for Thanksgiving. So definitely look for this to be a kind of a better game than what it was to get that game for these receivers. Now we got Minnesota and Las Vegas here, and Justin Jefferson is going to be expected to be coming back this week, I should say. He does have a questionable tag up there right now. If he does play, he's obviously going to be in your lineups, no doubt about it. Jordan Addison is going to be a cautionary start in this matchup, just because if Justin Jefferson does come back, I expect Justin Jefferson to immediately take on some massive share in targets. Now, if Justin Jefferson does not play, Jordan Addison elevate him to a start. Jordan Addison is going to be the main focal point in this offense with Justin Jefferson out if that is the case. And the Raiders have been a little stingy against the wide receivers so far this year. But the last couple weeks here, they have been a little bit more lenient. So definitely look for Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson to have good games. KJ Osborne and Brandon Powell are going to be sits. And then on the Raiders side of the ball, I'm going to start Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. Both can produce really big numbers. I expect them both to have really decent games here as they are up against the 23rd ranked wide receiving team in the Minnesota Vikings. And then Hunter Renfrow will be a sit for me in this matchup. Now we got the Denver Broncos and the LA Chargers here, and there's only one person on each team I'm going to start in this matchup. Courtland Sutton will be a start for me. That is Russell Wilson's favorite target and has continued to be all year long. And then Jerry Jeudy and Marvin Mims will be sit for me in this game. Now on the opposite side here, Keenan Allen will be the only start for me in this one. Quinn Johnston, as a rookie, has had an amazing opportunity handed to him, and he has done absolutely nothing with it. And then Jalen Guyton has had multiple opportunities the last couple of years. Wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, and occasionally a wide receiver 2, depending on injuries. I mean, he hasn't done anything either. So those are the only two I'm starting this week on this game as Courtland Sutton and Keenan Allen. And then we have the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs here, as it seems like a rematch every single year in the AFC Championship. It definitely feels that way, at least. It's either the Bills or it's the Bengals. And right now that looks like neither one could be a case in the AFC Championship. Hell, the Kansas City Chiefs have been struggling from time to time as well. But nevertheless, here you got Stephon Diggs as a start in this matchup. He always does well against Kansas City. And then Gabe Davis tends to have good games against Kansas City as well. But with the way that this offense has been operating recently, I'm going to put Gabe Davis as a cautionary start, and then Khalil Shakir is going to be a sit for me in this matchup. The only receiver I'm going to start on the Kansas City Chiefs side is going to be Rashee Rice. He has been a major factor so far for this team as the number one receiver, and other than Kelsey. And then you obviously have Pacheco in the backfield who's going to take targets. Sky Moore, Justin Watson, and Kadarius Toney are all going to be sits. And that moves us to our Sunday night football game. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith are going to be starts for me in this game here against the Dallas Cowboys in a divisional matchup. And then Julio Jones will be a sit. Obviously, you're going to start these two receivers. There's no doubt about it. Opposite side of the ball, though, you got CeeDee Lamb. He's going to be an automatic start almost every single week unless if there's any injury to Dak Prescott. You know, CeeDee Lamb should be a lock every week in your lineup. And then Brandon Cooks has been performing a lot better recently. I said start him last week, and if you listened to me and you did, fantastic, because that guy ended up scoring you about 16 to 18 points depending on your scoring. So Brandon Cooks had a decent game as well there, enough to be a start. And then Michael Gallup's going to be a sit. He had absolutely nothing to do there. I put him as a cautionary start. He should not have even been close to that this week. So I expect him to be a sit. That's going to move us to one of our two Monday night games here, as they are both getting played at the same time. But this one's going to be the Green Bay Packers and the New York Giants. Christian Watson, a 2-touchdown game against Kansas City and Lambeau on Sunday night last week. Definitely a big factor there. Love to see Christian Watson finally produce fantasy viable points the last couple weeks. He's going to be a start for me in this game. Now, however, when it came to targets at the end of the game and yardage, Romeo Doubs was the guy. He was the top of the chart when it came to that aspect of it. So Romeo Doubs is also going to be a start. And then Jaden Reed has actually had a really quiet, good rookie campaign. He's going to be a cautionary start in this matchup, as the Giants are not that great against the wide receiver groups in general, as they are currently ranked 30th. Now, when it comes to the New York Giants, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyden, and Wan'Dale Robinson, looks like Tommy DeVito is going to be the quarterback still, and I'm going to sit all these guys here against the 9th-ranked Packers defense. There's no reason any of these guys should be starting in this game. And then that's going to bring us to our last game here on the Monday night. This is the second one here, and you got DeAndre Hopkins and Treylon Burks are going to be cautionary starts for me in this game. They both have opportunities to at least put up decent amount of points, more of a wide receiver 2 flex position type of thing. Here, DeAndre Hopkins and Treylon Burks are going to have the 19th ranked Miami Dolphins defense here when it comes to points given up to wide receivers. And then Westbrook Ikine, and Kyle Phillips are going to be sits. And then on the Miami Dolphins side of the ball, going up against the 29th ranked Tennessee Titans, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are going to be starts. And then Cedric Wilson will be sits in this matchup. And if you made it all the way through, greatly appreciate all the watch time and stuff like that. We greatly appreciate that in general. But if you can go ahead and like and subscribe, goes a long way for us. And make sure you hit the notification button. This way you get drops when the rest of the videos come out later in the week. Other than that, have a great fantasy football week. Playoffs are next week. Let's get some wins.